Hi everyone, this is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. Welcome to this episode of the Peace and Possibilities podcast, everyone. I'm here with Ron Onesti, and Ron is the owner of the Arcada Theater in St. Charles, Illinois. And I've never met Ron before. I reached out because a couple of things, Ron. I have been going to the Arcada Theater for concerts and shows for the last, I would say, maybe 5 years, maybe further, but more recently, several of them in the last couple of years. So I know of you, and I get your emails advertising your all the concerts and the shows that are going to be there. So I get them on a weekly basis or whenever you send them out. But in the last couple of weeks, several weeks, I should say, with all of the stuff going on with the pandemic in 2020, I have been impressed by the messages of you guys and your team. I don't know if it's you or a bunch of people behind you, and your positive messages like, hey, we all can't meet in person, but we need music, we need laughter, we need to feel good, and all of those things can be done even virtually. And so I remember the first couple of weeks you guys said, meet us online and we'll do a virtual concert. Someone's coming on the stage with no audience and no one in the audience, but they're going to share their music with you anyways. And I love that you guys are jumping right on top of it to say, what can we bring? How can we pivot and do something different and keep offering the great things we offer, because people need it now more than ever. I 100% agree. And then I saw the only other thing I want to mention is I saw your Facebook post because of your newsletter. I clicked on it and it was a message about being positive and how upbeat you were. And I thought, we need more of that instead of people getting on and scaring us and talking about how bad this is, talking about all of the good things that could come from it. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the messages you're bringing, and thanks for your positivity and your energy, because I think the more we can see any of that and share it, the better we're all going to be. So thanks for joining me today.
I'm very, very excited, Joel. Thank you for inviting me. I mean, this is it's a crazy, strange thing for everybody. And each industry has its own idiosyncrasies and intricacies of their perception of what it's going to be like when we come back and how business is going to be. For me in my industry, I have theaters, I have speakeasies and bars and restaurants and an amusement park. I have all these types of group entertainment options for people. And right now, the bill collectors are kind of at bay. We don't have much of a payroll. I mean, things are kind of at bay. My pandemic, as far as my industry goes, starts when the ban gets lifted. Because then I'll have employees back, I'll have bill collectors, I'll have to buy, my tomatoes for my sauces and my vodkas, and everybody's going to be coming at me with their hand out, and I don't know if anybody's going to come see us. So for me, the pandemic starts, as I said, once the ban's lifted, and then it's not about when the ban is lifted, because we're on the same boat as far as that goes, but it's when customer confidence comes back. When will people, I've got my theaters are 900 seats and 800 seats. And when will people feel the confidence come back and fill a place with, 899 of their closest friends? I don't know when that is. So I'm still just trying to stay upbeat and positive. What I am doing is just trying to do a lot of things with regards to restructuring and reimagining my business structures. Fantasizing of all the different shows that I could put on, and the good news is the artists are all available, so or accessible rather. So I'm having these conversations about doing the shows, in the fall, winter, and spring of 2021. But it's the unknowing that's killing us all. Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows, and we are telling we have a college. An early 20 and a 17-year-old boy, and obviously the older one who's graduated from high school this year, just a couple weeks. Trying to explain it to them, and we were saying, we're not we're 50 years old, and my husband and I, we've never seen anything like this, and we don't know what to tell you. And all of the people around us that are older and wiser, they're also going through this for the first time in their lives, and no one knows what the right answer is. So all you can really do is control your mind, control your body, all of the good things that are going into it and coming out of it, because you can't predict all the rest of it. So you're doing a great job as far as and doing all of that, being able to talk about something positive and what's good about it. You never can get to that place in your mind or talking to someone about it unless you are changing your mindset. And if only you're doing is thinking about negative stuff, how are you going to come up with that new, like you said, fantasizing about new ideas and new creative ways to make changes? Those creative ways and those new ideas don't come when you're being negative. They come when you're being positive. You have good energy and you're talking to other people that want the same thing. So you'll figure it out. We'll all figure it out together. And I'm sure it's been a struggle, and I'm sorry for that. But I think that the more positive energy you can put out there and show everyone like what it's going to look like when everything is good again, and keeping it as good as you can. In the meantime, is all any of us can do. So can we talk about, oh yeah, go ahead.
It can be perceived, Julie, I believe, as, of course, negativity, but it's more just fear of the unknown, fear of everyone's future. And I'm trying not to, and listen, I'm just as fearful and afraid as everybody else. We don't know. I mean, and I keep going back to that. But the point that we have to remember is that, we've if you look at history, we've come back from horrible things. 9/11, if you remember, nobody trusted anybody. Nobody wanted to go in any
airplanes, even
on airplanes. You weren't flights. You weren't doing that. And look at that. Now, as of late, you couldn't get a flight. There was so.
Right.
You look at the all the other viruses. You look at remember what freaking AIDS came out. Everybody remember the anthrax scare. I mean, we will survive. We will come out of this thing. We all know it, which is a good thing, because most of the people alive today have been alive through something like this. Now I say something like this. No one's been through anything quite like this, but something we've all been through. Most of us have been through. Again, different scares. The economic breakdown in 2008. Nobody knew what was going on economically speaking, which I think we're better economically now than we were in 2008, because in 2008, nobody had money. People who had money didn't have money. The stock market didn't have money. Banks didn't have money. Here, a lot of people do have money. They're just not spending it. So all I could say is what's keeping me going is what should keep everybody going is just think about what it's going to be like when you finally have that confidence inside you to go out. You go to your first restaurant, you have that meal. Think about how good that meal is going to taste. Think about how great that music is going to sound. The grass will be greener, the air will be fresher, people will be friendlier. We may or may not hug right away, but at the end of the day, it's going to be something incredible when it all happens.
I couldn't agree more. So let's talk about how you got into this business. So I know you have a lot going on with all your business. You named some of them. You have a theater, you have restaurants, you have bars. Number one, did you study any of this? Do you have an education in how to do any of this? Because I know the restaurant business is super tough. Did you always see yourself as an entrepreneur, or was it like you had another career and then you just decided to do this later on? I had no idea. So tell us.
Yeah, I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, Julie. We had, I started as a very young in high school at different businesses, and I started my first main business when I was 15. I've always had my own company and companies, and I'm doing different things. I didn't go to school for this. Actually, when I was of age to go to school, none of these things existed. There wasn't event management or concert production or special events, or none of that stuff existed. So I've been doing it close to 40 years now. And so there's not a whole lot, let's put it this way, there's not a whole lot of mistakes that I haven't made already. Let's put it that way. But I just, it was an evolution. My career went from one thing to another and evolved in just the entertainment portion of things. I was in special events management. I was in the promotion aspect of things, the public relations aspect of things, venue management part of things. I was artist management, artist agent. I mean, I've been through all the different parts of it. And as far as my culinary experience, I mean, all the recipes are mine, whether it's the food or the drinks. I just been doing it a long time. I'm from Little Italy on Taylor Street. I was
Yeah.
brought up in a certain style of cooking, and I've always loved it. So even now, every day, I cook at home. I cook dinner at home every night, and I'm not just cooking, cheeseburgers or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that,
Hmm.
but I'm cooking some new. I've been wanting to try in my restaurants for a long time, so I've turned my kitchen at home and kind of like a
Test
research kitchen,
kitchen.
a
Yeah.
test kitchen.
Yeah. It's a
So
great idea.
try to make the most of it. That's all.
Awesome. So tell me about what do you think? I mean, this is a lot of businesses we're talking about. It's not just one that you've made successful. So what do you think along the way, either, early on, like advice you had from your parents or mentors, or just things that you did along the way that made you successful in this career and able to stay happy and peaceful and so positive all this time for 40 years? What do you think? What do you think it was?
You know what? I come from very, very simple means, and I was taught at a very young age to appreciate all that you have. And, my father, a World War II hero, loved people, and just was really, really cared about people, taught me about the value of a person, about their feelings and about what they're all about. I mean, this is sounding a little hokey, like a Hallmark card, but it's kind of true, and I I love the people. I love the customers. I'm a huge music fan. My peers in my business are all about, oh yeah, another celebrity, another movie star, another rock star, big deal. I'm starstruck and I'm proud of it. I got no problem. Yeah, I got Kevin Costner coming here, or I had Don Rickles here, or I've got Foreigner, or America, or Chicago, or all these bands that I loved growing up. Now they're friends of mine and I'm working with them. I'm a huge fan. So the people see me in the audience just like they are, singing along every song, clapping, having a great time, and people know that it's a sincere love for the music, for a respect for the entertainer, and just an admiration and a love for the people in the audience. And that's what got me through it, really.
Oh, I love that. And that you can't fake that energy. You can't fake that sincere, like you said, admiration and love. If the people that you're meeting didn't think that you were sincere and they didn't feel that, that you didn't have ulterior motives, you just sincerely are really excited about what you're doing, they wouldn't have, you wouldn't have had any friendships with them. They probably would
No,
have
you can't.
even, yeah.
You're right. You cannot fool an audience. You can't fool your customers. They know when you're BSing or not. They know when you're not sincere. And so I've been fortunate enough over the years that people really have latched on to what I'm trying to accomplish. And it's not like this grand scheme. I mean, now I do a lot of planning, of course, but this whole thing wasn't something I set out to accomplish. It's the music that I am a part of. I love that music. These are my favorite bands. These are my favorite acts. That I represent an era of people who really love this music. I mean, people love 60s, 70s, and 80s music, and that's what I'm doing. So it just happens, it just happens to be what I like, and people are latching on, and when you got all the garage rock bands of the 60s, when you've got all the classic rock bands of the 70s, the hair bands of the 80s, mixed in with some country, comedy, some R&B, some old school Gap Band Parliament stylistics.
Yeah.
You just throw some of that in there, and at the end of the day, people just love the music. They're all hits. They're all hit makers.
Totally agree, and I'm a big fan about the 80s music. So we have our older son who's in his 20s now. He would joke about knowing what the 80s bands were, and he's like, I'm the only one of my friends who knows who Bryan Adams is, and Billy Joel, and Night
Right.
Ranger, and these bands that, people, that are born right now are 10 years old. Some of them never even heard of the greatest bands and the greatest music. So
But the
I
cool
love
thing about that, Jewel, is that a lot of them have, and that's a cool thing for me. I have a 15-year-old daughter. She knows the words to most of the songs I do. I've been, serenading her since she was on the changing table with these songs. And she's been hanging around the theater, and she's gotten gifts from people that she doesn't realize just how major they are.
right.
She will one day, but and I see, when I see dads and moms bringing, come to, it's just them. It's the daddy daughter date, the mom son date, the mom daughter date, that kind of thing. They
Mm-hmm.
come and you got the mom bringing the 12-year-old and she's got they both have Led Zeppelin t-shirts on,
Uh-huh.
and the dad comes with his sons and they both have Black Sabbath shirts on. I mean, that's really cool for me that I'm able to create, or we here at the Arcata or other places are able to create a memory. We know that a memory is happening. And that's one of the things you asked earlier, what keeps me going. And I say this all the time, is that when I'm backstage and the show's going on and people and the acts are rocking and rolling, I'm looking out in the audience and I'm looking at them just having a great time and knowing that in those 900 seats, there's somebody who has either lost a loved one recently, lost their job, had a fight at home, had a fight, just a bad day, and they are entrusting us to take them away from it all for like 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever it is. And I see that as I see it as a responsibility, and I also see it as an honor and a gift to be able to do this when I see these people having such a great time and reliving their childhood, reliving their high school years when they're watching, Peter Frampton and when Frampton Comes Alive in 1976 when the album came out, turned out to be one of the biggest albums in rock and roll history. And there's 30,000 people in the arena, and they were there. And now he's on our stage, and they're reliving that memory. That to me is the payoff. That's what I get out of doing what I do.
I love that. And you are part of the last 3 years of memories that my husband and I, he lost a really dear friend to cancer. He was 46 years old 3 years ago. And I said to my husband, no one's guaranteed any time on this earth. No one's guaranteed anything. So why don't we start doing some more of that fun stuff? Our kids were getting older and it was getting easier. I said, we love music. We used to go to concerts all the time. I did when I was in high school. I have a whole box full of concert tickets, and him and I love the same music. I said, I'm going to find places that we can go, and there's not that many left anymore. We can go see some of the bands that we love. Arcata has like Little River Band and Air Supply, and we saw John Waite. I mean, it's been awesome. And I said, I'm going to go to these. We're going to pick concerts that we love, and we're on a road trip this weekend, trying to get out of the house and do something different and enjoy the sunshine. And I said, let's start writing every concert we've been to. Our teenager was asleep in the back. I got out a pen and paper. We have been to almost 40 concerts in the last 3 years since I said
awesome.
I devoted
I love
it.
you.
Right? I said, Brian, life's not getting any, we're not getting any younger. What are we waiting for? I'm going to look at schedules from all these places that are nearby in Chicago, and I'm just going to find the bands we want to see, and I'm going to buy tickets, and we're going. I said, and we have something to look forward to every couple of months. So we've been doing that, and we had no idea how many we'd gone to till we wrote them all down.
That's
almost
great.
40.
Well, you know what? You're not getting any younger. I'm not getting any younger. And you know what? The sad part is, or the scary part, these acts sure as hell are not getting any younger. And most of these, these acts, most of them are older than we are. So, and that pains me too, because, over the years, I've established relationships with these bands, and, we're losing them. And it's not just the name, not just Lou Gramm of Foreigner, Rick Springfield, Richard Marx, the name. But, like I've had, I don't know how many shows I've done with, let's see, I'll come up with, like UFO, for example. Every year we do 2 or 3 shows at UFO for years and years, and we sell out. Their keyboard passes away. Molly Hatchett's lead singer passes away. Another guy, even the sound guys, their road crew that we've been working with for 20, 30 years, or their agent, or their manager, or their lighting tech, or just a bass player, or I shouldn't say just a bass player, but unfortunately, many of these musicians in the bands aren't as well known as the lead singer, let's say, and we're losing them. Yeah. So that's why it's something to be able to see your heroes now, because think about in 10 years or 20 years how many just won't be here anymore. Remember, many of these acts, you talk about acts that came out in the 70s. Well, they're in their 20s in the 70s, which means now they're in their 70 years old now. They're pushing 70. Yeah. Just like the 80s bands guys. A lot of those guys are 65 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and God bless them. And one of the cool things about that, Julie, is that another favorite part for me is, for the most part, I would say 98% of these acts still have the flame. They're still
Mm-hmm.
nervous before they go on. I'm in the dressing room with them, and they're doing their scales with their voices, and they're rehearsing, and they're praying together, and they're doing their team hug, and they're doing all this stuff, and they're like looking at me with like excitement, like, yeah man, let's do this. I do the announcement, bring them on, and they're just jumping around the stage, giving it all. Afterwards they come off, they're sweating, they're tired, but they've given their all, and they're still loving it after doing the same song for 30, 40, sometimes 50 or 60 years. And they're still doing it.
Yeah, and you can tell those people they're still loving. And of course, I'm thinking the same thing. They wouldn't be touring still if they didn't love what they were doing. They wouldn't get on there every night and travel and be away from their family and do all the things they need to do to get to that stage if they
Right.
still didn't love it. And it's so obvious when you get to hear them. And I love, yeah, that the fact that they're still doing it. Instead of they could just sit at home. They probably don't need any more money. It's probably just a matter of, they could just sit back, relax, and no one would hear
Right.
a peep from them. But I love that they're still going out and doing what they love, and we all get to benefit from it and
It's in their
share
blood.
those experiences. Yeah, it's awesome. And then we get to, like you said, you're creating those memories. We get to have those memories. I've taken my sisters and my friends, and of course my husband, and going with other couples and stuff. So we have all these new memories that we wouldn't have had in the last 3 years if I hadn't made that declaration. And there wouldn't
Yep.
be places like you and your theaters to host these bands that can't fill up a huge venue anymore or whatever. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm again, it's been something, this whole pandemic thing, when we've been down, I've been little, we've had, it's afforded me more opportunity and more time to actually talk with these artists on a personal one, like at home on a one-on-one basis. Like, hi, what are you doing? I talked to Brett Michaels this morning. He sent me a little video that I put on Facebook today that he's going to send all the promoters. I asked him, I said, I'm asking, you'll see a lot on my Facebook page in the next few weeks. A lot of the acts that we've got coming, your Ted Nugents, your Dice, Richard Marks, whatever. I've asked them all to make a little video saying, hey, everybody, we'll please be safe, be well. We're coming back to the Arcata. Just hang in there. That kind of a positive. And Brett sent me his this morning. And but just talking to them, they're people.
Mm-hmm.
They're living exactly we're living. They're at home. They're bored as hell. They're cooking every day. They're eating okay, but they're going. It's kind of leveled the playing field. No matter how much money you have, how big the mansion is, what ocean you live on, what golf course you live on, or what projects you live on in the city, whatever it is, we're all in the same boat. We're all, you look on the phone or the Zoom meetings or whatever, the Skypes. It's the same thing, and it's really humbled a lot of people. I'll tell you, these artists that have been a little bit, who I am, kind of a thing. It's brought them down a couple notches on the human, the human side of things.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be. I think a lot of awesome things are going to come out from all this. I think that's one of the major ones. Everyone's in the exact same boat. These artists that great. You have lots of money. You can't go spend it. You can't go travel. You can't have big parties. You can't go see anything you've been wanting to see and spend this extra money on. You can't go sit front row at an NBA game. I mean, all of these things that the people that don't have that kind of money say, oh, I wish I could do that one day. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't matter right now how much money you have.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see that these people are giving what they can, knowing, like you said, they're human, and it's their passion to go out and sing and be able to perform. And when they can't do it, they're finding other ways to do it. But everyone, like you said, is going to be so much more appreciative when they can go do it. So I love that that's what's to come. So I'm looking forward to that piece of it. So tell me about the last couple of questions for you. Tell me about either what advice you'd have for someone searching for a meaningful career, whether it's doing something similar to you're doing in the corporate world, an artist, an engineer, a scientist, or would you rather talk about something you wish you had learned earlier in your life? I'd love for you to share your advice because I think you'd have a lot more to offer in that regard. So
We talk about advice, career advice, no matter what it is.
Someone who's searching for a meaningful career. So your 15-year-old daughter, my 17-year-old son who's about to go off to college, a 30-year-old who's sitting in a corporate job somewhere, or an artist that hasn't made it yet. What would you say to people that that want to be successful and aren't feeling so peaceful, happy, and content right now?
Well, you know what? I mean, it's career advice 101, Julie. It's like your folks probably told you, it's everybody who's older tells people, but as you get older, you realize just how valuable the simple advice, the fundamentals, the basics. I have a baseball background. I played semi-pro baseball till I was 33. And one of the things that always has stuck with me, whether I was in Little League or beyond, was, no matter how good you are in the sport or in anything really, you always have to focus on the fundamentals. If you don't use two hands when you catch a ball, if you don't keep your eye on the ball when you're hitting, if you don't, that kind of stuff, no matter how strong, how big, how whatever, you will not be successful. So number one, focus on the fundamentals. Always define the fundamentals of the industry that you're trying to get into and master the fundamentals. Never forget them. That's number one. Number two, just people, especially younger people, are so afraid of asking questions. Ask questions. If you're not sure, ask. They're like, yeah, I don't get it, but it doesn't matter. I'll worry about it later. Ask the questions. And the third thing is be a part of as much or as many things as you can be within reason, so that it doesn't affect your homework or whatever it is. But as we get, there's someone said it's a shame that it's too bad that youth is wasted on the young, because by the time you figure out how to live, how to love, how to appreciate life, how to appreciate the simpler things, like truly tasting food. I mean, really not just chug it down, or tasting food, or smelling the air, or taking deep breaths, or listening to music properly to really understand those notes and let those notes just get inside your soul. By the time you realize how to do that, you're a little bit older. So that's what I would always say to the younger people. I said, look what's in front of you, appreciate it for what it is, appreciate what's around you, just be as hungry as you can for knowledge and experience, and see the best in everything. If it's a movie, this sucks, that sucks. I get tired of people that complain all the time. Oh, this is bad, that's bad, Trump is this, Hillary is that, he's this, they suck, this is, what? That's fine. I respect it, but I don't dwell on anything. Don't dwell on the negative. If you only got a certain amount of time to live, dwell on what makes you happy. Dwell on what you can get out of something positive that you can get out of it. You're not gonna, if you don't like liver, you're not gonna go eat liver every day. Eat what you like. That's what I'm saying. Same thing. Live what you like. So that's my biggest, the advice with people, because, again, you've got the axioms that have been around for a while. If you love what you do at your job, you never work a day at your life, all that stuff. But that's, all those cliches are true. And what you are in search of is what drives your passion. That's your whole goal in life. Your whole goal in life is to find what you are passionate about. That's what a young person's goal is. So, and how do you find it? By asking questions and being a part of as much as you can, understand as much as you can, experience as much as you can. And if you do all that, all of a sudden you'll find, because my journey it didn't start here. It started in printing, and it kept on going. Went from printing to screen printing to signs to banners to jerseys to a sporting goods. I mean, I'll go on and on and on. But it is, they say the life is the journey. It is your journey. The reality is, you want to kind of try to shorten the journey as much as you can, because you don't want to get to your destination when you're 83 years old.
For sure.
There you go. That's one breath, no punctuation. There's my answer.
No, that was awesome. It's perfect. It's simple advice. I was writing down what you were saying so that I can remember it and quote you in my newsletter when I release the podcast, because you're full of great wisdom and tips, which I knew you'd be after I saw that video, and I had read some of your recent emails. So thank you for everything that you've shared, and I know it's going to be helpful. And I think the whole reason I'm doing this podcast is so people can Like our children don't have to be wondering about it when they're 50. They can wonder about it when they're 15 or 20 or 25 and then be on that path. Not to say everything's going to be perfect at that age when you get there.
No,
but
not at all.
you'll get there sooner. You'll get there sooner, and you'll keep going. If you're hungry, like you said, asking questions and going for what you're passionate about, you'll start eliminating things you're not, and it will get easier to follow the right path. You won't have to keep wondering. You'll just know that you're on it because you're going to feel passionate about it, which is why all those bands that are coming to the theaters like yours are so important right now. If they didn't love what they were doing, they wouldn't be standing on a stage 30 years, 40, 50 years later. They wouldn't. They would just be resting on their laurels, enjoying their money and then sitting back and not talking to anyone. They couldn't do it if they didn't still love it, which is why we get so much joy from it.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ron. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Well, same here, Julie. Thank you very much. I love what you're doing. Right now it's so important for people to engage with one another. Customer engagement is something I'm really focusing on now too. Keeping people's try to keep people's heads clear and give them something to think about. And I think these podcasts and these newsletters you're doing and communicating with people is so valuable, more now than ever before. So congratulations on what you're doing.
Amen. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So where can people find what's the easiest way to get in touch with and come to your restaurants and come to your venues when we can get back to normal? What's the best way of finding out more?
Well, we're all over Facebook, and then you can go to any one of our pages, or our website is the letter O shows.com. oshows.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Ron. Have a great day, and I appreciate all your positive energy. You keep doing what you're doing, because we're going to get back to appreciating this more than ever. And I hope that people are doing what I did, which is like, let's start planning these things so that we can look back at a couple years and look at all the memories we made instead of all the things that we wish we would have done. Can
you just imagine what it's going to be like when you go to your first concert back after all of this?
It's going to be
Can you just imagine how good that music is going to sound?
It's going to be awesome.
How great that beer is going to taste, whatever, Can you just imagine?
I know. No, yes, I can imagine, and I cannot wait. And I am looking forward to, like you, seeing more people appreciating and being grateful and being in the positive and being humbled instead of all of the other things we get to see out there. So I think it's going to be more of all that, and I can't wait. So thank you.
Can't wait to see you.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for listening. If you love this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they love.